Hi, Dyslexia Genius here. Now we're going to start on the Victor R and how to disassemble it. And there's a few things we have to do first to look at before we start pulling screws and nuts and bolts out of everything. We're going to look at the top end. Everything's here. The brake's here. It's missing the leather stop. Here's the speed control. This is basically like a Berliner brake. You just click it over like that. Everything's there. So what we're going to do is take the brake off. We're going to put it to, this is play, this is brake. This has a little hole. You're just going to take your finger and pop that little spring out like that.
Wait, spring?
This wire has a tip on it which fits in a little hole right there where my screwdriver is.
Okay, got it.
So you just pull down on the spring and it'll pop off. You get the right screwdriver. And the screw is not clogged up with dirt, so we can take this off quickly. We're using the big metal tray. Now, all the screws I've cleaned out except that one. Now you see the dirt in this screw?
Yes.
Now the screwdriver won't bottom out into that because we have dirt in the slot. So what I did was I come in with a straight razor and I just drag it in there and I clean out from 1902 or 1903 the dirt like that. That's very easy. Now what you want to do is you want to flip the motor over. We're going to take a look at it. First thing we're going to look at is right here, the running leathers where my screwdriver is. We have another one back over here. Well, we look at that, and it looks pretty flat, like this hasn't had a lot of wear on it. So, first thing we take out, I always talk about the governor. We're going to take the whole governor assembly out, this casting right here. So what you first do is you come in here with the right screwdriver, and we take this screw out that holds, this is the speed control arm. We're going to take this out. We're going to take this screw out and we're going to leave it just lay there. And this is a special screw because it has a step piece here that goes with the metal. Now you're going to come around and you're going to see the casting on an R here. My angel can focus in. We have a screw here and a screw here. So you come around. You're going to grab the casting with your left arm. You're going to come in.
Wait. Grab the casting where?
I'm going to grab the casting right here,
okay,
like this. Turn it over. Take the speed control out.
Is there a screw still in there?
Yeah, right there. Now we have the whole governor assembly. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the springs. See how nicely springs are? This machine has really no wear on it at all. This bearing up here isn't. Sometimes the spindle shaft comes up and it's cut at a 60-degree point and goes up into this bronze piece, and this looks nice and tight, like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece off and this piece off, all in one piece. So we'll take off this screw. I've already taken the first one off. We have a screw here. There should be a screw there too, which holds the casting. So we have a screw holding this piece in and a screw holding this piece in right here. I did let the machine run all the way down before I started the disassembling. You always want to do that.
And how do you do that? Just release the brake?
Just release the brake and let her run. You're always going to put your hand back here to support the casting.
There's still that one screw, darling.
Put that loose. Now we're going to undo the screw here, this screw here on this gear.
I can hear the snap as the screw unscrews, so it hasn't been opened.
It hasn't been taken apart.
This is nice.
Now we're going to take the last two screws off. You always want to leave one screw in like I'm doing.
Why?
So I loosened this to hold the casting.
Okay.
And then we're going to take this. There we go. She just broke loose. We roll her over. There's the spring barrel. Here's this drive gear, this brass drive gear.
Beautiful.
Then we have to have the disassembly of this whole piece here and clean all that up. What you want to do now is you want to check for a little bit of wear. Let's see what it looks like. So now we just took the motor part. You see this galling right here. That means there's been wear or no oil since 1902 or 1903. We're going to check the other bearing here. They run in cast iron. This one's running better, but this one wasn't. So you have to make a mental note. Okay, why is this one worn out? Was it because this gear was loose or what? And that's what we want to do. Now you're going to check the spring barrel bearings. And we can see here that we don't really have any wear in here, but we will polish all this out like I always do on all this. This is a brass gear right here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a brass hammer. We're going to finish taking this screw out. Because there's 2 screws in this thing. Now what we're going to do, this is a fiber gear. We have to be very careful with a fiber gear. But this steel plate, and there's another one underneath, up under here, because if I pick up, you'll hear it hit. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a brass hammer, get the spindle shaft out. You see how easy this was? It doesn't damage the steel.
Can I use any hammer?
No, you can only use a brass hammer on this
Why?
because the brass won't mar the steel. So we have this apart. You want to set this away or wrap this in a paper towel while you're working, because this is a fiber gear and it looks like it's in really good condition. And we're going to wrap this up in a paper towel to protect that fiber gear. You don't want to buy a new fiber gear. Those things are $100 in their reproductions. Now we're going to check the spindle shaft. And now you can see this part of the spindle shaft runs in this hole here, and we have very little wear, no wear at all. This is good. Now we're going to come back, stick this back in, and it sits about there, and we have a little bit of play with this, right? Excellent. And that's all there is disassembling a Victor R motor. Now what we'll do is I'll start off with the spring barrel, and then we will have videos on the governor. And while we have the governor here, we're going to take an eyeball look at this brass gear that's driven by the other gear. And we're looking at that. I don't see much wear. And that's all there is to it. Make sure you count all the screws and nuts and bolts and put them in a metal tray to hold them in place so you don't lose them. And that's my tip for the day.